Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Mrs. G. In this video, we are going to be looking at the English language or English A, January 2020 past paper. Let's get to it. These are the instructions for items 1 to 5. Each sentence has either one or two words missing. Choose from the four options the word or pair of words which best completes the meaning of the sentence. Mark your choice on the answer sheet. So for number 1, it says, justice must be seen to be done, for dash treatment can cause great dash. So it is already suggesting what your answer should be like. So for the English questions, it makes sense to actually read each sentence with your answers in it to see what it sounds like and if it gives the sentence or if it completes the meaning of the sentence as the instructions suggest. So, justice must be seen to be done, for unfair treatment can cause great resentment. That sounds just about right. Let's check the other one. Justice must be seen to be done for pronounced treatment. Pronounced treatment does not really sound as if it matches with the first part of the sentence. Justice must be seen to be done for unlawful treatment can cause great surprise. For unlawful treatment, you're not necessarily expecting surprise. Justice must be seen to be done for unrewarded treatment. That does not match up either. So your answer for number 1 would have been letter A, which is justice must be seen to be done for unfair treatment can cause great resentment. Number 2, so your answer for number 1 would have been letter A. Number 2, an attack on someone when that person is most vulnerable may be dash, but is always dash. So again, you read it with the answer that you're looking at in mind. So an attack on someone when that person is most vulnerable may be inappropriate, but is always thoughtful. So when you think of the question itself, when you think of the instruction that best completes the sentence, an attack on someone cannot possibly be thoughtful. So that would have been out. Neither can it always be rewarding. It might be distressing or it might be unkind. So let's look at the question with these two in mind. An attack on someone when that person is most vulnerable may be destructive but is always distressing. And the other one, an attack on someone when that person is most vulnerable may be effective but is always unkind. So yes, it may be effective but it is always unkind. So your answer for number 2 would have been letter D. Number 3, her criticism was constructive and honest with no dash whatsoever. So the fact that the criticism was constructive and it was honest, it means that it would not have any, whatever it is missing here would need to be a bad thing. So there's malice, candor, coherence, and directness. So your answer for this one would have been malice. So the fact that the criticism was constructive and it was honest, with no something whatever, it would suggest that it is malice. So your answer for number 3 would have been letter A. Number 4, the journalists were impressed by the dash of the statement, whose speeches had a profound dash on all who heard them. Journalists were impressed by the eloquence. That could be a good one. Journalist was impressed by the presence of the statesman, not statement, statesman. Presence could be one then. Emotion, appearance. All right. For the second section, whose speeches had a profound effect, result, sensation, reaction. So for this one, it is more likely an effect that it would have on all who heard them. So let us look at that one. The journalists were impressed by the eloquence of the statesman whose speeches. Since it is talking about the statesman's speeches, it is expressing that it is how someone talks, really. So that would have been eloquence. So the journalists were impressed by the eloquence of the statesman whose speeches had a profound effect on all who heard them. So the answer for number 4 would have been letter A. Number 5, there are many who try there are many who would try to dash your efforts because of their jealousy. So that means they're trying to do something bad to your effort because they are jealous. So it would not be assist, neither would it be affect. Thwart would have been it, and it would not have been encourage either, because this is something good. So there are many who would try to thwart your efforts because of their jealousy. Number 6, well, item 6 to 10 has these instructions. Select the option A, B, C, or D that best describes each of the sentences and mark your choice on the answer sheet. So if you're choosing A, it would have been the sentence is acceptable as it stands. B, the sentence contains cliches or misused metaphors. C, the sentence is incorrect grammatically or faulty in diction. D, the sentence is too wordy, that is repetitive or contains redundancies. So that is for number 6 to 10. So number 6, it is not absolutely necessary for it to be done today. So this one sounds like it's good, but there is a bit of faulty diction here. It is not absolutely necessary for it to be done today. So for 6, initially I had said letter A, that it is acceptable because that is how we talk, but it is actually letter C. The sentence is incorrect grammatically or it is faulty in its diction. Number 7, traffic bottlenecks must be ironed out if we are to prevent giant traffic congestion. So for number 7, all right, you will notice that you are repeating some words here. It says traffic bottlenecks, then it says traffic congestion. Though they are two different things, and this is just explaining that the traffic bottleneck, which would have mean that you have basically one road that everyone needs to get into in order to go wherever else they're going. They're saying that that must be ironed out if we are to prevent giant traffic congestion. It just sounds a little wordy and it could have been worded differently. So for that one, it would have been letter D for your answer. Number 8, the decorations chosen for the venue complemented the theme of the gathering. Now, this is the wrong complement. This complement is when you are giving when you're saying something nice to someone, not when something goes well with each other. When something goes well with something else, that would have been complement. So for that makes this one grammatically incorrect. So for number 8, your answer would have been letter C. Number 9, to clarify the situation, I will write a new set of guidelines. So number 9 is perfectly correct and the comma is in the correct area as well. So that would have been letter A for number 9. The sentence is acceptable as it stands. Number 10, he advanced a step or two to meet his attacker. All right, right here we're seeing he advanced. That means you're already going a step or two to meet his attacker. So it is already suggesting the same thing 1, 2, 3 different times. So he advanced a step or two to meet his attacker, who suddenly became alarmed and retreated back. You can't say retreat back because retreat means to go back. So you're saying alarmed and go back 4 or 5 spaces. So this would have been a redundancy. So for number 10, your answer would have been letter D, which says the sentence is too wordy, that is repetitive or contains redundancies. The next section would take us to number 11, and the instructions are for 11 and to 15. Some of the following sentences are unacceptable because of inappropriate grammar, idiom, or vocabulary. Some sentences are acceptable as they stand. No sentence contains more than one inappropriate element. Select the one underlined part that is inappropriate and choose the corresponding letter A, B, or C. If the sentence is acceptable as it stands, choose letter D, which is no error. So that means you have to go through these sentences specifically looking for where something is off. So number 11, the team was not in no mood to continue the game and went off the field. So the team was not, you cannot say not in no mood. That is two negative words together. So your answer for number 11 would have been letter B. Number 12. Had they not been forewarned, they might have joined the queue, not knowing that gas was not on sale at the station. There's nothing wrong with this one. So had they not been forewarned, they might have joined the queue, not knowing that gas was not on sale at the station. This one is fine. So your answer for number 12 would have been letter D. Number 13. One of the admirable characteristics of the young is that they are not easily scared. So there's nothing wrong with this one either. It says one of the admirable characteristics. So it is still speaking specifically about one thing. That is why it is okay to use is here. So one of the admirable characteristics of the young is that they are not easily scared. So for number 13, there is no error either. So that would have been letter D. Number 14, as John listened to the lesson being taught, he began to lose interest. So it should have been that he began to lose interest, but this is actually loose, to remove a knot in something. That's what this word is. It should have been L-O-S-E only. So your answer for number 14 would have been letter C. Number 15, the problem with the students is that they arrive late, gives no excuse, and are rude when spoken to. So, the problem with the students is, in this case, the students is one collective group. So this would have been fine. Is that they arrive late, and they're talking about a problem. The problem with the students is, so that they arrive late gives no excuse. Then now you would have to say give no excuse and are rude when spoken to. So your answer for number 15 would have been letter B. This is what is correct in the incorrect in the sentence. So 15 would have been letter B. Item 16 to 20 has the following instructions. Each sentence in this section has one underlined word or phrase. Choose from the 4 suggested answers the word which is closest to opposite in meaning to the underlined word. So for these ones, we have to pay specific attention to the fact that it says opposite, so that you don't make a mistake and actually give the synonym for the question. So number 16, she paid meticulous attention to her work as she attached the beads to the costume. So meticulous attention means you are paying great attention to detail, and you are very, very detailed, and you're doing it well. So the options are, if you notice in this one, the synonym for meticulous is there, which is very detailed, so you don't want to make that mistake. The options are scant, which means you're not looking it over carefully, careful, detailed, and cautious. So all of these are suggesting that you are doing something well. The answer for number 16 would have been letter A, which is scant. Number 17, the manager decided to inform the staff about all complaints received from customers. So again, you are doing the opposite. So opposite of complaints must be something good, more like a compliment here. So let's look at the options: request, demands, suggestions, and compliments. So the opposite of complaint would have been a compliment. So your answer for number 17 would have been letter D. Number 18, they lived in a large, sprawling, dilapidated house. Dilapidated means pop down, broken, not fixed, mash up. So that means the opposite of dilapidated would mean that it is well kept, or it is beautiful, lovely, nicely put together, etc. So the options are remote, historic, well kept, or unfinished. Your answer for number 18 would have been well kept. So that is letter C for your answer. Number 19, after the story was published in the newspaper, his colleagues ostracized him. Ostracize means to cut you off. So the opposite of cutting you off here, accepted, discussed, understood, recognized. So for that one, I would say accepted. It looks as if it could be recognized, but they did not say, it did not say he was shunned or something like that. It said that he was ostracized. So when the opposite of cutting somebody off is actually to accept them. So number 19 would have been letter A. Number 20, the firm was forced to retrench some workers in order to continue operating. So for this one, when I looked at it initially, I did not know what retrench meant. For retrench though, when you get a sentence like this and you don't really know the meaning of the word, then you have to use context clues to try to see in what sense is the word being used, so you can figure out the meaning based on the sentence that has been presented to you. So retrench in itself means that the cost has been reduced, or you make something redundant. In terms of people or workers, you make them redundant. So the firm was forced to retrench some workers in order to continue operation. So basically it sounds as if they are strapped for cash and they need to retrench some people in order to continue their operations. So looking at the options, there's demote. Demote basically means that you would be stepping down from a position. Employ, dismiss, or to promote. So the opposite of demote would be to promote. And then employ means to hire. So in this one, if it says to retrench, which means to reduce cost or to make redundant, it would suggest that you are getting rid of people. You're getting rid of some people. So the opposite of getting rid of some people is to get more people, which would be to employ some people. So for number 20, the answer for 20 is letter B. In a sense, you can look at retrench as putting people out, and promote is putting people up. So this is an option that we could look at as well, but I'm going with letter B, which means to employ. You can let me know in the comment section below what you think, if you would have gone with letter B or letter D. I'd love to hear from you to see exactly what you think. Again, if you are on the channel and you have not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, like the video and leave a comment below. For number 21 to 25 has the same instruction. So each sentence in this section is followed by 4 sentences, A, B, C, and D. Choose the one nearest in meaning to the original sentence. So notice that nearest in meaning is in bold. So we have to pay attention to that. That's here, nearest in meaning. So 21. The Europeans who were not well off were those who came to the West Indies in search of wealth. A. Unemployment at home caused Europeans to come. Alright, first of all, they did not tell us here that the Europeans were unemployed. All they said was that they were not well off. So we cannot pick letter A. B. Europeans settled in the West Indies because they were told that they would become rich. We didn't hear that up here either. We did not hear that they were told that they would become richer. The ones who were not well off came in search of. So it's not suggesting that they were told anything at all. Let us see. Financial difficulties at home made Europeans who came to the West Indies decide to settle here. That is off as well. Letter D, Europeans who came to the West Indies to seek their fortunes were the ones who were not wealthy. So this is saying the same thing. So Europeans who came to the West Indies to seek their fortune here is the same thing as came to the West Indies in search of wealth. That's the same thing. were the ones who were not wealthy. Same thing here. The Europeans who were not well off means the ones who were not wealthy. So your answer for number 21 would have been letter D. Number 22. John still wanted to marry Mary even though she had lost all her money. So A, John agreed to marry Mary although she had lost all her money. So John, up here it didn't say John agreed to anything. It said that he still wanted to. If you agree, it sounds like a decision is placed on the table in front of you and you have to pick. So John, he simply wanted to. Letter B, Mary's money did not matter to John, who still wanted to marry her. All right, we can hold on to letter B for right now and see. I don't necessarily like letter B for the answer, but letter C, the loss of all Mary's money did not affect John's wish to marry her. So the loss of all Mary's money is similar to she lost all her money. Did not affect John's wish to marry her. John still wanted to marry her. So I'm going with letter C for number 22. We can still look at letter D. John intended to marry Mary even if she were to, okay, this is not saying what the actual sentence was saying. So for number 22, the answer would have been letter C. Number 23. The news shocked me so much that I almost forgot what I wanted to say. The news was so shocking that I could not move. No, it did not say that. I nearly didn't speak again. No, it said that I almost forgot what I wanted to say. C, I was so shocked by the news that I could hardly speak. No, it didn't say that either. I could hardly remember. All right. So the section here that says I almost forgot. So it said I could hardly remember, which is similar. My message after such shocking news. So I would go with letter D for number 23. Number 24. If students' efforts are rewarded, they would be encouraged to work harder. Students must be encouraged to work hard. It didn't say that either. There's nothing in this one about the efforts being rewarded. So A is out. B, if students work harder, they will be praised for their efforts. So that is different because this is saying that if the students work harder, if students are rewarded, then they would be encouraged to work harder. So the reward basically comes before them wanting to work harder because that would have been their encouragement. So B would have been out. Letter C, when students are praised for their efforts, they excel. So it did not say anything about excelling. It said that they would work harder. So C would not have been your answer either. D, students whose efforts are compensated. The compensation here would be synonymous to rewarded. Generally work better. All right. Working better can mean working harder. So it looks similar. It looks like the nearest in meaning compared to all of the others. So if students' efforts are rewarded, they would be encouraged to work harder. Students whose efforts are compensated generally work better. So for 24, I'm going to go with letter D. 25. No right-thinking person who has lived in the country will fail to understand my disgust at noise. Every right-thinking person will understand my disgust at noise in the country. All right, it did not say that specifically. This sentence is basically saying if you have lived in the country and you are thinking right, then you will understand my disgust at noise. So this one would have been out. Letter B, noise in the country is as disgusting to me as it is to all right-thinking people. C, my disgust at noise will be understood by any right-thinking person who has lived in the country. So this one sounds a whole lot closer in meaning so far. So let's look at that again. No right-thinking person who has lived in the country will fail to understand my disgust at noise. or my disgust at noise will be understood by any right-thinking person who has lived in the country. So it certainly looks like letter C, but we can still look at letter D. It is inconceivable that a right-thinking person in the country could fail to understand my disgust at noise. So this is very personalized now to say that it is inconceivable. It's like you're saying, I can't understand how a right-thinking person in the country could fail to understand. So this one is a little different. So the answer for 25 would have been letter C. Number 26. 26 to 31 has the same set of instructions. Read the following poem carefully and then answer items 26 to 31 on the basis of what is stated or what is implied. So this poem is called Beat That Light. I think the horses must be laughing, kicking up their heels and chafing or chaffing, watching from their green abode the things that drove them off the road, whinnying in soft derision at breakdown, blowout, and collision, neighing as they roam the prairies, motorist obituaries. Read the epithets on Monday of drivers various and Sunday. Beat the horn and hold the klaxon for Hebrew, Latin, and Anglo-Saxon. Howling klaxon, beeping horn, the funeral dirge on Monday morn. Ushers out the unlucky drivers without convincing the survivors. Here's a curve and here's a truck. Take a chance and trust to luck. The next one's practically standing still. So it gives you two things at the bottom here. Epitaph, a short piece of writing or poem about a dead person. Klaxon, a type of loud horn formerly used on motor vehicles. So, may I suggest that when you are actually doing your exam, you read the poem more than once. 26. Why does the poet feel the horses are laughing? That is in line 1. So some persons prefer to look at the options first before they go to line 1, or some persons prefer to look at line 1, then they come back to look at the options. Regardless of how you do it, really doesn't matter as long as it works for you. So why does the poet feel as if the horses are laughing? So I think the horses must be laughing. Why? Alright, kicking up their heels, that is also suggesting the laugh as well. Watching from their green abode the things that drove them off the road. Alright, let's look at the options. He hears them laughing, it doesn't suggest that. The prairie is all theirs to roam. They are treated well by their owners. They were replaced with something which causes harm. Alright, so let's look back at the entire stanza here. I think the horses must be laughing, kicking up their heels, watching from their green abode, things that drove them off the road. So this is suggesting that they would have been replaced. Whinnying in soft derision at breakdown, blowout, and collision. Neighing as they roam the prairies, motorist obituaries. Alright, from my understanding of the poem, it is saying that yes, the horses are laughing. They are in a safe space, so they are watching from their green abode. Abode is relating to home, so they are watching from their green abode, which would suggest a grassy area. The things that drove them off the road. So the things that drove them off the road, what points to it here would have been when it says breakdown, which is suggesting car, blowout, which is suggesting the blowout of car tires, and collision, which is suggesting accidents of cars. Neighing as they roam the prairies, that's where they live. Motorist obituaries. Obituaries would have been like the death notice in the newspapers. So motorist obituaries would suggest that the motorist would have been dying or they will die, something to that effect. So looking back at the options here, we already took out A, he hears them laughing. We already took that one out. They are treated well by their owners. There's nothing to suggest C either. There is some suggestion that the prairie is all theirs to roam, or they were replaced with something which causes harm. So it's either B or letter D. So the prairies all theirs to roam, because it says watching from their green abode, neighing as they roam the prairies, so they could be laughing for that reason. Or for letter D, they were replaced with something which causes harm. The replacement, why we would possibly say that as well, it says watching from their green abode, the things that drove them off the road. So it's suggesting that it's the cars that drove them off the road, which would have been suggesting also that that is what replaced them. And here it says breakdown, blowout, and collision, motorist obituaries, which would also suggest that they were replaced with something that causes harm. All right, I'm not thinking that they were laughing because they were replaced with something which causes harm. I think they are laughing because the prairie is all theirs to roam. But I would like to hear exactly what you think. I'm going between B and the letter D. So let me know what you think in the comments section below so that we can make a better decision about this one. So B or D for number 26. Number 27. What are the things suggested in line 4? So let us look at line 4. So vehicles, accidents, explosions, or traffic jams. So line 4, that is line 1, 2, 3, 4. The things that drove them off the road. Okay, so the things that drove them off the road based on these lines here would suggest that they are vehicles. So your answer for number 27 would have been letter A. Number 28. Which of the following words suggest the driver's destiny? Whinnying, breakdown, obituaries, or howling? All right, destiny is suggesting the ending, what is going to happen. It is saying the driver's destiny, not the car's destiny. So since it is suggesting the driver's destiny, we're looking for something that is relating to people. So it's not whinnying. It could not be breakdown either, because breakdown would link towards the car, something happening to the car. Obituaries now speak specifically about somebody dying. So that is suggesting the destiny of the driver. It says motorist obituaries specifically here, so that is suggesting what will happen to the driver or what is the driver's destiny. So your answer for number 28 would have been letter C. Number 29, according to the poet, what day seemed to be most prone to fatalities? All right, so there's Monday, Sunday, festivals, and public holidays. Let's look back at the poem. What day seems to be prone to fatalities? So it says, read the epitaphs on Monday. What is an epitaph again is here. Short piece of writing or poem about a dead person. So if it's about a dead person and you're reading it on Monday, it would suggest that the person would have died before Monday. Of drivers various and Sunday. So this is suggesting that different drivers, something would happen to them or they would die on Sunday. So you would read the death notice about them on Monday. So your answer for that one would have been Sunday. So that is letter B for number 29. 30. What is the poet's tone in line 17 to 18? So there's sarcastic, persuasive, indifferent, or enthusiastic. All right, sarcastic means that you are just using a specific tone, but you're saying something that you don't necessarily mean and the person would know from your tone. Persuasive means that you are trying to convince someone about something. Indifferent means that you're saying something but you have no particular interest and you have no sympathy towards the person or whatever you're talking about. And enthusiastic means that you're basically excited about what you're saying. So for 30, we are going to look back at the poem. That's line 17 and 18. So 15, 16, 17, 18. So 17 and 18, it's these two. Here's a curve and here's a truck. Take a chance and trust to luck. So this sounds dangerous. It says here's a curve and here's a truck. take a chance and trust to luck. So it sounds as if you're sending somebody to kill them. So you're giving them a curve and you're giving them a big truck, and take a chance and trust to luck. So it sounds more indifferent, like you don't really care about the person, like you have no sympathy at all towards the person. You really don't care what is going to happen to them. Um, it doesn't necessarily sound like sarcasm, but some persons might say that it is sarcastic. So you can let me know what you think in the comment section below as well. So I am going to go with indifferent though for this one. So that would have been letter C. You can let me know if you think it is letter A though, but I'm thinking it's letter C, since it's the tone that it gives off is that you have really no particular interest in what is happening, and you really don't care, you really don't sympathize with the person or the motorist anyway. All right, so for 30 I would say letter C. For number 31, the poet is recommending that drivers drive slowly, quickly, carefully, or recklessly. All right, so the poet sounds like I don't really care, but you should know better. That's a tone that I am getting. I don't really care, but you should really know better. It does not specifically hint that the drivers are driving fast. It does not hint any at all that they are so they need to slow down. It does not hint that they are driving slowly, so that he's recommending that they drive quickly. Maybe he's suggesting that they drive carefully, but he's not really suggesting that based on the indifferent tone towards the end. Or maybe the poet is recommending that the drivers drive recklessly. Because since he's saying, here's a truck, here's a curve, and here's a truck. Let's see what it says. Here's a curve and here's a truck. Take a chance and trust to luck. The luck here is suggesting that you want them to drive recklessly. So it can be that the poet is suggesting that they drive recklessly, or it can be that he's suggesting that they drive slowly. I don't necessarily see any evidence throughout the poem where it is saying that the drivers should drive slowly. It is more telling them to go ahead, do what you want to do. Here you go. Here's a curve, here's a truck. Go ahead and kill off on yourself. Motorist, obituaries, these things are suggesting that there's no care at all, and the poet wants them to drive recklessly. That is my take on number 31. The thing with poem is that there can be several different interpretations as well. So again, I'm asking you to tell me what you think in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate that, and then we can discuss it a little further. Okay, so we are going to stop here for this video. If you would like to see the rest of the video and the other explanations of this particular 2020 paper, you can let me know in the comment section below as well. Ensure that you subscribe to the channel, ensure that you like the video, would really appreciate that, and then we would go on to part 2. Again, thank you for watching. It is always a pleasure to assist you.